everybody, Lucas Welsh, and we're back right here where we left yesterday. This old Suzuki 1969 3/4 size upright bass with the old hernia, and we're gonna unclamp it right away. Let's get into it. Well, I think we can say that that's quite a bit better. It didn't quite come out as perfect as I was hoping, but let's flip this over and let's see what the top side looks like. We know we're going to have to make some concessions on this beast just because of the way that it is, but let's flip it over and see what the top side looks like. I'm going to bring it from the side so that you can see how close we've actually got it. Now there is a little gap there, and if I shone some light behind it, you would be able to see that in fact, you know, there is still a gap, but we're talking, it looks to me like about a millimeter. I can try and measure it, but I'm not that worried about it. Suffice it to say that I'm feeling really good about it at this point. And what's going to happen is when we put the patch on, I'm going to heat that all up again. I'm going to heat that whole area up again. And then I'm going to put my caul back on the outside. I might have to make a little bigger caul. I'm going to put my caul back on the outside. And we're gonna do that again. See, what's happened here is this whole thing has got a little swoop in it. Which, I mean, when you've got this much damage you're dealing with, it's gonna take some pretty intense doing to bring that all back out. Okay, so that was our first round of pressing to get that back, and I mean, we've come 95% of the way. Can we get that extra 5% with a bigger patch that's got the right curvature, and that's going to glue in there and kind of force this to all be back in the right location? Okay, let's see what we're up against next here. The last thing that I noticed, and this is actually something in the first video that I got to amend, because I said that the bass bar was solid. And when I was looking with my borescope, in fact, it did look solid. But that is not the case. It is actually lifted. It's released. And I can stick my pallet knife under there. So we've got to glue and clamp that back down as well. So if you've ever got a bass that has a buzz when you hit just the right frequency, you know, and you've exhausted all your efforts. I mean, you've checked all the seams, you've checked your tuning pegs, and everything is good. This can often, not often, but this can be a potential. You're getting a little slap back here, and it's just vibrating. I've seen it in violins, I've seen it in basses. It's not something that we want to see, that's for sure, because it's not an easy fix. But that's not what we're dealing with today. At any rate, I'm going to grab something that I can use that's a nice shape, that's about the right size to get rid of the bulk of that. So I just took a round lid that I had, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to feather all of this garbage in. I'm going to go with some coarse sandpaper. Maybe I'm going to chisel, I might just get rid of some of that, so that then this is the feathered in edge. Okay, feather that all in. So while I'm finishing that up, I thought I would explain to you guys just a little bit why this didn't work. Okay, so there's a series of events that happen. You can kind of read this like a storybook, if you will. So here was this was the sound post patch, and it was, kind of in that area, because that's where the sound post would be. So the first thing that happened is this bowed. Okay, and bowed, I mean it got some curve to it. Okay, that's the very first thing that happened. So when that happened, that started to allow these fibers to move more than they are supposed to. Okay, that's probably when this crack happened here, right on the leading edge of this, because things started flexing in ways that they weren't supposed to. So somebody went at that point. I'm just gonna trim this little bit of glue. Okay. Somebody went at that point and thought, okay, if I just make another one to match that, that's gonna fix everything. That's gonna reinforce it and fix it. And the problem is that what they did is they didn't do nothing really that wasn't already happening. They just made an area here that had no reinforcement at all and just allowed this to go like that. Okay, that's what happened. The only way that this was not going to fail was if they had taken the top off, gotten rid of this one, and made a big patch like we're about to do. Oh, man. Let me tell you a little bit about Soundpost patches, shall we? Long story short, they suck. There's no nice way to put that. And I bet you there's a lot of luthiers out there that would tell you the exact same thing. It's not a small job. And this is literally a huge job. Okay? I don't care if you're doing a Soundpost patch on a violin, a cello, a viola, a bass. It's a sucky job. We got it some freaking how. I have spent hours off camera making this little beauty. It all started with finding a piece of something that was acceptable. Originally, I was thinking maybe I should do a hardwood patch, piece of maple, something like that. Well, that kind of went to gushies when I realized I didn't have any pieces that were going to be wide enough. And then when I started thinking about it, I got going, geez, you know, that's a pretty wide patch to stabilize, you know, even with a piece of hardwood. It's not infallible. This first patch, wherever it's gone to, was in fact a hardwood maple patch. No good. It warped. And anything that I might be able to find here isn't going to be, I didn't feel it was going to be right. So when I looked at the whole thing and the dimensions of what I have to deal with here, I went with a piece of plywood. Yes, I did. I had to go to my Hardmore store, or as we all in the luthier world call them affectionately, our local, you know, luthier mercantile. And yeah, we got this. Luckily, I was able to get a part sheet of good one side fir plywood. I was hoping for a piece of birch or even oak plywood, something maybe just a little beefier, but in the end, I don't think it's really going to matter. I had to go with 3/8 thick because the curvature that I needed to put in here was going to thin some of this out a bit. And I didn't really, you know, want to have it too thin. Like 1/4 inch was going to be way too thin. And like I said, I'm a little bit limited here. So we got 3/8. We've got the profile hogged out. We're ready to heat this area. We're going to heat this area up. Remember, one more time, because we're pressing this one last time with this big cone in there. Now, we have to figure out a clamping situation here. And this is no small clamp job. And it's going to be a little complex. You thought that pressing that first part out was a little complex. Because now we've got curves and we've gone way beyond. So I cut myself a piece that encompassed the whole width. And I went quite a ways beyond. Yes, it's probably a little bit of overkill. Once we're all done, I intend on thinning this down a wee little bit. And radiusing these edges out, you know, just so that I can reduce a little bit of mass, you know, to what I feel appropriate. We're literally, this is the crack area. Okay, that's the part that we're covering up. You know, I probably need a, you know, this is probably what I need to have, an inch and a half beyond that to really stabilize it and reinforce. I've gone another inch and a half beyond that so I can taper everything out a little bit. But I'm going to leave myself a nice spot for the sound post, for a nice flat spot for the sound post to fit again. Yes, I'm just going to leave it flat. Okay. Because originally, that's what it would have been, was more or less a flat piece in there. And why not? So we got to come up with a clamping situation. We're not super concerned here. This is going to, you know, I'm not worried about putting clamps onto here and making this part go. What I'm worried about is getting that top all flat and clamping there. So I've got to come up with I gotta come up with something. Okay, all right. Gotta come up with an arrangement. think we've got good contact, good glue surface. Well, folks, I think that is going to finish us up for this part. Okay. Repaired. Lack of a better word. Okay, we're going to I don't have any clamps left to do up this base bar, this loose end of the base bar. And there's some odds and ends that need to be touched up now. And a lot of that I'm probably just gonna do. You guys don't want to see all the little dicky wicky glue ups that I gotta do here in order to get this top prep to go back on. That's kind of the next thing. So I'm gonna, last part of this picture is gonna be unboxing this and seeing if we in fact got it completely leveled off finally. I think we're going to be really pleased with the result that we're going to get. So then we're going to refine this patch a little bit. It's oversized, it's bulky. We're going to take a bit of meat off of there so that, we're not just killing this plywood top completely, which we're not. We're going to do that. Take care of the base bar. There's a couple little glue ups around the edges there where some of this laminate exterior outside has just delaminated a little bit. We're going to pull that, get that all touched back up. Prep the top, prep the sides, glue up, wait again, and string up. And hopefully we were successful. So, anyway, if you liked what you saw, I know this was some of these things are tedious, right? And I was 3 hours getting this patch fit nice. Complex curves both ways, doodads, things. But that's you're into that's your niche. Hit that subscribe button. Notifications, drop me a comment, drop me a like. I like it all. Okay, folks? Appreciate you all so much. All three of you. I see you there. Anyway, catch you on the next one.